everybody, this is dkdynamite, and today what I have for you guys is a little news roundup regarding Call of Duty Infinite Warfare multiplayer. So yes, the official beta will of course be releasing on October 14th, first on the PlayStation 4. But before I even cover information regarding the beta, let me first talk about what I thought about the actual gameplay reveal for Infinite Warfare multiplayer, since I have been pretty busy over the past couple of weeks and haven't had a chance to talk a lot about Infinite Warfare, so let's jump right into that information. So in terms of the gameplay reveal itself, which we saw at Call of Duty XP, I honestly thought the trailer was pretty well done in terms of the music sync and the actual gameplay mechanics that we saw, but in terms of how the game looked to me, honestly, right off the bat, I had said that this game looks a lot like Advanced Warfare combined with Black Ops 3. So we of course have all the futuristic movements, all the futuristic mechanics and equipment, and then we also have this similar specialist system as we have within Black Ops 3. Now, honestly, I wasn't too hooked with the gameplay that we did see. Now, that of course could change when the beta comes out. You know, I sort of felt a little similar regarding the Black Ops 3 multiplayer reveal, but I was a lot more secure and confident with the gameplay that I saw back when Black Ops 3 multiplayer was revealed. So again, I'll just have to wait for the beta. That's pretty much what I'll leave it at. You know, there was a lot of good parts of this trailer, a lot of cool things that I liked, and I'll talk more about that in a few minutes as well, but there's a certain picture that I wanted to share with you guys. So I'm reading through the comment section of a Charlie Intel post regarding Infinite Warfare multiplayer, and I see this comment that really caught my attention. So this user had said, "Why is it that Infinite Warfare completely backtracked everything they did in Ghost? Some of it wasn't even bad. The SATCOM, dynamic maps, field orders, marksman rifles, cranked, kill feed placement, extinction, the null tier loads of perk system." So when I read this right away, I 100% agreed, because honestly, even though a lot of people didn't like Ghost is honestly one of my favorite Call of Duties, and for some reason I just had an amazing experience with that game. You know, I could say that I loved Ghost literally 100 times more than Advanced Warfare. I had a lot of fun with the DLCs. I just loved covering every multiplayer map. I always loved the camos they brought into the game, and I just loved how the game felt. I just loved how it felt to run around the map, experience dynamic events, use some of the weapons like the Honey Badger and the SC-2010. The kill streaks weren't that good, but they were pretty fun to use. You know, I enjoyed it. The game modes are pretty exciting, and again, just a lot of innovation was offered with that game compared to other Call of Duties, and I enjoyed it. You know, I understand there were problems with the game. I completely get that. I talked about that before. The game wasn't perfect, but you have to keep in mind that at the time when Ghost was getting developed, half of the team at Infinity Ward left to form Respawn and make Titanfall, so that's half of their team gone. They also brought in new developers in the middle of the development cycle for Call of Duty Ghost. So literally, as they're developing the game, they're bringing in new people, so everybody has new ideas, everybody's doing a different thing, and again, they're also having to work extremely hard on their other game mode, Extinction, which was a huge game mode for that game. So again, there's a lot going on during the development of Call of Duty Ghost. It wasn't the original Infinity Ward team that made Modern Warfare. Again, half of those people left to form Respawn. So they're bringing in Neversoft and other development teams to help them out in the middle of developing the game itself. Not like it was all the way at the start of developing Ghost where they brought in new people. No, in the middle of development, they brought in a bunch of new people. So there's a lot of shit going on behind the scenes that we didn't even know about until a couple of months ago, when we started getting more information online regarding the process and the situation over at Infinity Ward. So again, I don't blame Infinity Ward for the tragic issues that Ghost had. Again, that's all Activision scheduling. That's all their decision to release the game at the time that it did. And there's a lot going on. So I'll leave it at that. So I can't criticize Ghost as much as other people do, because I'm thinking from a logical perspective, based on the business standpoint and based on the situation that was at hand. So these things that this person listed regarding Ghost multiplayer, I really liked. I think dynamic map events were extremely innovative, and unfortunately, Black Ops 3 didn't have any of these dynamic events. And in terms of why they didn't, I guess they just didn't feel like it fit that game. But Infinity Ward certainly knew how to incorporate these dynamic events. And of course, every multiplayer map didn't have dynamic events, but for the ones that did, they were pretty exciting to see. as you're playing multiplayer. And I thought that was very exciting to have in game. So the fact that Infinite Warfare is not going to have that really disappoints me, because I think with the development cycle that they have, this could have given them the opportunity to actually work on things that they didn't get to completely polish back in Call of Duty Ghost and even Modern Warfare 3. So in terms of field orders, again, that's all linked with dynamic events, so that makes sense they're not bringing that back. Marksman rifles, again, those are pretty cool. I didn't use them too much back in Ghost, but they would have been really cool to see return here within Infinite Warfare. And I've already made my rant about Extinction. Again, I could talk more about this in an upcoming video regarding Infinite Warfare Zombies. But again, Extinction was, to me, a very beautiful game mode. There was something very different from Zombies. And I feel like the only reason people didn't like Extinction was because it wasn't Zombies. And honestly, I'm okay with seeing a new innovative game mode for a different Call of Duty game aside from a Treyarch one. To me, it just makes sense. It keeps the hype for Zombies alive so that we can wait an additional year or 2 years for Treyarch's next installment. So that keeps Zombies alive in its own sense. And it gives us the opportunity to play a new, innovative game mode with a different story, different gameplay mechanics, and a whole different feel and vibe altogether. And that's what I loved about Extinction. I played the fuck out of every single Extinction map, beat every single one of them, and just loved covering them here on my channel literally 3 years ago. But again, we're not seeing the return of Extinction, and we will of course have a Zombies mode here with Infinite Warfare. So again, aside from this picture, I just want to bring that up real quick. Now, the game will of course feature 12 multiplayer maps at launch, and we do have information regarding 5 of these multiplayer maps. So the first one here is Frontier, a small section of an immense space station that is orbit around the planet Neptune. We also have Throwback, which looks back at a 1950s Main Street, USA, sitting on a giant rotating torus-shaped space station. We also have Frost, a research facility set atop the icy surface of Jupiter's moon. Now we also have Breakout, set in a remote location on a snowy, earthbound mountain top. Breakout is home to a maximum security Black Mountain Penitentiary. Now we also have Terminal, which is of course the remake that is offered as a pre-order bonus for Infinite Warfare. A dynamic range of combat areas are set both in and around the futuristic spaceport on the moon in this reimagining of the classic Modern Warfare map Terminal. So these maps sound pretty cool. Again, we'll have to wait till the actual launch of the game before we can make our opinions and assumptions about these multiplayer maps. But in terms of the specialist system with Infinite Warfare, so again, there is a similar system like we had within Black Ops 3 in terms of selecting our characters, aka our specialists. So here in Infinite Warfare, we essentially have 6 combat rigs. So you can pretty much say 6 specialists, and each feature different abilities for players to use. Combat rigs offer payloads and traits. So as this says online, payloads are similar to Black Ops 3's specialist weapons and abilities, in which the character gets a certain weapon or ability to use for a limited period of time. It's exactly the same as Black Ops 3. To activate, press L1 and R1 once the meter in the bottom right has filled. So I'll leave a link down below in the description if you want to see more about these combat rigs. But again, the fact that this game is so similar to Black Ops 3 is both good and bad. So for people who loved Black Ops 3 like me, this is a pretty good thing to hear about Infinite Warfare, since again, we're not going to be moving too far away from the gameplay we're already used to within Black Ops 3. But for the people that didn't like Black Ops 3, then again, you're sort of out of luck with this year's Call of Duty, because again, you're pretty much going to be playing a combination of Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3. So if you didn't like either of those 2 games, then I would just recommend playing Modern Warfare Remastered for the remainder of the year until Sledgehammer Games introduces their next Call of Duty next year. So again, this has its ups and downs, and I understand that. This is how the business works. But we'll just have to wait and see how fun multiplayer actually is. I'll leave a couple of reviews in the description as well from websites like Charlie Intel, IGN, GameSpot. They've all reviewed multiplayer within Infinite Warfare, and they all gave their full opinion on it. So again, I'll leave all that down below in the description. But in terms of some other information regarding multiplayer, it was confirmed that multiplayer will include classic weapons from the past Call of Duty games. So, as they officially said, classic weapons will be its own weapon class alongside the traditional assault rifle class, SMG class, etc. So, this is great news to hear, because the weapons we saw in the actual gameplay reveal looked pretty futuristic. We didn't really see any traditional weapons like the Intervention or the M4A1 or the AK-47. They were all energy-based weapons. That's similar to Advanced Warfare, of course. And in terms of these classic weapons and the way that we earn them, it's a pretty interesting idea actually. So Infinity Ward confirmed this. In order to earn classic weapons, players have to prestige. When you prestige, you will receive a classic weapon unlock token which can be used to unlock one classic weapon available. It's also been confirmed that these classic weapons will be visible during the multiplayer beta, but it has been confirmed as to whether or not you can use any of these classic weapons during the beta itself. But I think this is a great idea, and Infinity Ward really thought ahead in terms of their prestige system here with multiplayer. This gives players more of a reason to actually prestige here within Call of Duty. You know, there's people who think that prestiging isn't actually worth it unless you actually care about your rank in game. But the fact that you get rewarded with something as precious as a classic weapon unlock token just means that people will be motivated to grind through whatever it is, level 55, level 60, just to get that classic unlock token, which can possibly give you access to weapons like the Intervention or the Scar H, so on and so forth. We'll just have to wait and see. But in terms of the actual beta itself, so there will be 2 weekends when you can play Infinite Warfare multiplayer. So the first weekend is, of course, beginning on October 14th, my birthday, first on the PlayStation 4, starting at 10 a.m. PT, and will of course end on October 17th at 10 a.m. PT as well. Now the second weekend is where the beta will be available on both the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So this is of course different from the beta we had last year with Black Ops 3. This year the beta is not available, unfortunately, on the PC, and this time the beta is available on the PlayStation 4 for 2 weekends in a row. So this starts on October 21st at 10 a.m. PT and ends on October 24th at 10 a.m. PT. That's of course available for the PS4 and the Xbox One. So I understand when people think that this is very unfair for Xbox One users as they only get 1 weekend to play multiplayer here within Infinite Warfare, but again, this is all a part of the deal between Sony and Activision. The deal is of course a little different from the deal that Microsoft and Activision had years ago, but again, this is how the business works, and it's only fair that PlayStation has some type of exclusivity with Call of Duty for at least 8 Call of Duty games. After that, if you want to make the game exclusive to PC, or if you want to make it to where every console and platform gets all the content at the same time, that's of course okay. But for the time being, this is fair. Next up, it was confirmed that Infinite Warfare will not have a theater mode. So this is of course something that's been a problem over the past couple of years with Call of Duty games. Again, we had theater mode in Black Ops 1, we had it in Modern Warfare 3, we had it in Black Ops 2, and we of course saw its return within Black Ops 3. But Infinity Ward has not touched theater mode ever since Modern Warfare 3. In terms of why, that's of course unclear, but to me, the reason theater mode is so useful, for me personally, is because there are times when my share button doesn't work on my PS4, where it glitches out, or to a point where I don't have my equipment plugged in, so I can't record my gameplay with my Elgato. So theater mode is of course my backup to go ahead and record that footage later on when I do have my equipment plugged in, and that's just how I deal with my gameplays. And again, theater mode is very useful to also go into third person or into free roam to view your gameplay from a different perspective. That's of course very cool to do for montages and other types of special gameplays for YouTubers. But the fact that they're not including it with Infinite Warfare is disappointing, of course, and just means that I have to be more on top of my game and have my equipment plugged in more of the time, and hopefully my share button works when it wants to as well. But there's a lot you can do with theater mode. There's a lot that could affect your gameplay experience when using theater mode. Again, there have been lag issues reported in the past when theater mode has been enabled for games like Black Ops 1 and Modern Warfare 3, but it seems Treyarch has nailed down the whole process with theater mode itself, so hopefully they bring it back in their upcoming Call of Duty game in 2 years. But I just think that Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer Games will probably opt out of using theater mode altogether, which is of course unfortunate. But next up, it was confirmed that quickscoping is possible in Infinite Warfare, but is very difficult to do. So this has been said with games like Advanced Warfare and even Black Ops 3. But again, once you get the hang of it and once you really focus on snipers for a good amount of time, you're going to really nail quickscoping altogether. Again, quickscoping was pretty difficult back in Call of Duty 4. Modern Warfare, of course, which will be seeing its return here this year with the Legacy Edition. So I'm really excited to see how people actually quickscope within Modern Warfare Remastered. But In terms of quickscoping in general, again, it was never meant to be easy. I guess I'm trying to say that. It was never meant to be an easy process for players to do. You know, it was pretty simple to do back in Black Ops 2, but Treyarch did learn their lesson a little bit from that sniping experience and kind of changed that a little bit with Black Ops 3. But Infinity Ward really started the core experience with quickscoping back within Modern Warfare. And of course, it blew up within Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 as well. So the fact that they're making it a little difficult here with Infinite Warfare just makes sense. They want to keep that experience exclusive to very precise snipers that just love quickscoping and love being competitive. So that's pretty exciting news to hear. But overall, that's pretty much the news we have regarding Infinite Warfare multiplayer. To wrap things up, let me just say a couple of things that I liked about the gameplay reveal itself. So what I love the most, I think, just out of everything we saw in the trailer, was the black hole sort of launcher that this person had. So he wall runs over to this area, shoots this rocket launcher, and out comes a black hole which sucks all the enemies up into this damn little portal. So I'm assuming that there's going to be some type of balance with this weapon, because this is very overpowered, especially when you have a whole team capturing a flag in domination or sitting in a room for hardpoint. You'll just shoot this launcher in there and boom, you're just going to have a fucking black hole taking everybody inside of it. So we'll just have to wait and see how that gets balanced when the game releases. But the use of the shield within this gameplay was pretty interesting. It reminded me a lot of the campaign experience we had with Advanced Warfare. I also like the use of this force field sort of ability, which of course comes with the combat rigs and looked pretty useful, especially when you're going to a tight corridor with your teammates. In terms of the movement, so it has been said that the movement will be a little slower than Black Ops 3, but a little on par with Advanced Warfare. So what we can take from that is that you could technically play this game with a traditional style, but the movement that we're going to have is going to be very exclusive to every map that we play, similar to Advanced Warfare, but in the sense that the movement isn't necessarily forced as it is within Black Ops 3, to where you can play freely, and wall running is just an ability that's there, something you can use for each map, but again, isn't forced as we have within Black Ops 3. So in terms of the return of familiar game modes, I think that the gameplay itself looked very smooth, especially with game modes like Uplink and Hardpoint, and especially Domination as well. So I'm looking forward to the game, I can say that right now. But honestly, I'm more hyped for the campaign than I am of multiplayer. And the reason for that is because of the gameplay that we have so far. And I felt the same way back when the campaign was revealed months ago. I really wasn't hooked into this game. I was really doubtful about the gameplay experience we were going to get. But over time, as we got more gameplay, I really got hooked into the campaign. I loved the narrative of the story. I loved how the gameplay experience looked with the side missions and with the flight missions in space. It looked very cool. And that's because we saw more gameplay as time went on. So this beta on Friday will, of course, probably solidify my compassion for Infinite Warfare. And I'll probably like the game a lot more than I did back when it was revealed. But let me know what you think of Infinite Warfare multiplayer down below in the comments section. Are you hyped for it? Are you going to be playing the beta when it comes out on the PS4 or even the Xbox One? At the time of uploading this video, my Modern Warfare Remastered campaign early access stream should be live here on my channel, but if it's not, it just means I'll be streaming it later tonight. And I'll also, of course, be covering the Infinite Warfare beta when it begins on Friday, October 14th, first on the PlayStation 4. This has been dkdynamite. Thanks so much for watching. Peace out, YouTube.
Pre-order now and get access to the multiplayer beta.